members. Requesting Comrade Manjula, please come to the stage. So I request Comrade Gopalakrishnan, please come to the stage.
Just to show you, we can have this flag in our hand and stand like that. Yeah, they cannot cover that entire stage. What is just a moment. Flag inaugurated and after that it can be done.
What Meenakshi suggested we can do that. Let's keep that.
Hello. Comrades, good evening to all. Comrades, I welcome all of you to the Bangalore People's Convention. Here we have CPIM Politburo member and All India President of All India Kisan Sabha, and the leader and the architect of historical farmer struggle, Comrade Ashok Davale, here to inaugurate this historic conference. On behalf of every one of you and on behalf of CPIM IT Front Local Committee, I welcome Comrade Ashok Davale to this conference. So, Comrade, as we know, our party's General Secretary, Comrade Sitaram Yechuri, was supposed to inaugurate this conference today, but Comrade supposed to visit and lead a delegation to the Manipur, the riot-affected area today. So, Comrade is not attending this conference. So, today, comrades, we have Comrade Meenakshi Sundaram, party state secretariat member and the General Secretary of CITU Karnataka here in this stage. So on behalf of every one of you, I welcome Comrade Meenakshi Sundaram. And comrades, next we have Comrade Gopala Krishna A. He is the State Secretariat member of CPIM. On behalf of everyone, I welcome Comrade Gopala Krishna. Welcome, Comrade. So, Comrade, next we have our beloved Comrade, Comrade VJK Nair. He is the former State Secretary of CPIM. On behalf of everyone and on behalf of CPIM IT Front Local Committee, I welcome Comrade VJK to this conference. Comrades, here next I welcome Comrade Vasantaraj, the State Committee member of CPIM. And comrades, I welcome one and everyone who is attending this historic conference today. Welcome all. Thank you, comrades. Apologize, comrades. I wish to welcome Comrade Manjunath. He is the District Secretary of CPIM Bangalore. So I welcome Comrade Manjunath also to this conference. So thank you, comrades.
Comrades, revolutionary greetings to all of you. We are here in this convention to discuss the urgent matter of the exponential increase in the cost of living in Bangalore. The objective of this convention is to formulate a detailed action plan and chart a way forward to effectively address this issue. The cost of living crisis has been a topic of discussion for the past few years. However, it has now surpassed all limits, significantly impacting the quality of life for the working class in Bangalore. It is important to note that the reasons behind the cost of living crisis are the rises in the accommodation rents, increase in transportation costs, higher expenditure for the health and education, and surging prices of essential commodities. At the same time, salary remains stagnant for employees working in various sectors. The legally ensured minimum wage is nowhere near compared to the minimum living wage in the city. Housing, transportation, health, and education have been entirely left to the market forces. The government is unwilling to invest in these sectors due to its neoliberal policies. What we are experiencing today in Bangalore is not a very unique. It is something that neoliberalism has imposed on most part of the world. There should be an end to this double-edged exploitation perpetuated by the capital. While living costs are driven up by the market forces and worker wages are intentionally kept low as possible for profit maximization. Comrades, we are here at this convention in response to the mounting concern with the aim of formulating our action plan to build an effective fight back. Comrades, today, Comrade Ashok Davale is going to inaugurate this convention. I invite Comrade to inaugurate this convention. Thank you.
Now 1 minute.
Sir.
Suraj. Come close there. Come here, come here. They want to take photo, they cannot cover that.
All of you come this side.
For a moment.
This side also.
Okay.
Comrades Meenakshi Sundaram, Gopal Krishnan, VJK Nayak, Vasant Raj, Manjunath, Suraj, all the other leaders on the dais, and my dear friends. I am extremely happy to be amongst you today in Bangalore to inaugurate this People's Convention against the escalating cost of living and also to build a fight back against this cost of living. I would like to especially congratulate the CPIM IT Front Local Committee and all of you for having organized this really wonderful convention of the people here in Bangalore. I see in front of me a very, very encouraging picture, and that encouraging picture is that more than 90% or maybe 95% of the people attending are all young people, young men and women. And for this, I especially congratulate the IT local committee. There is another reason why, on a broader scale, I want to congratulate not just all of you, but the people of Karnataka. And that is the reason, you can well imagine, in the Vidhan Sabha elections a few months ago, Karnataka and its people created history by defeating the BJP in a very, very resounding defeat, which was welcomed by the people all over the country. All of us have been witness to what the BJP has been doing in Karnataka for the earlier 5 years. The entire Sri Ram Sene attacks, the hijab controversy, the Tipu Sultan issue, every single issue by which they could communalize Karnataka society, not a single issue was left out. Not a single chance of corruption was left out. And the people of Karnataka, among whom all of you, I am very, very sure, were the frontline soldiers in that battle, all of you made every effort to see that the BJP is resoundingly defeated in Karnataka. History was made not only in Karnataka but also in the country as a whole. I, like many of you, are not under any illusion that with the new dispensation, there will be a sea change in the economic policies of the new state government. Very unlikely. I'll come to that later. But one thing will certainly happen, and it has happened. The entire situation of hatred, the entire poisonous atmosphere that was created in Karnataka by the BJP RSS during the earlier 5 years, that has at least to some extent been reduced as a result of the defeat of the BJP. Comrade VJK Nayak, just now we were sitting here and he was just reminding me of what happened in Delhi yesterday. What happened in Delhi yesterday? A similar kind of convention. What you are having on another issue. In Delhi, all the left progressive organizations had come together and they were having a similar convention in the Comrade Harkishan Singh Surjit Bhavan in New Delhi. What was the subject of the convention? You know, on the 9th and 10th of September, there is going to be the G20 summit in Delhi, about which the Prime Minister has been beating his drum for the last several months. The G20 summit will be there in Delhi in September. Yesterday and the day before and today, all these other organizations came together and they were holding a parallel kind of summit of the people of India, which was called V20, WE20. And that was an alternative to the G20 summit that is going to be held, in which many of the top leaders of the world, etc., will come to Delhi. On this matter, the BJP central government and its police stopped the function in the Surjit Bhavan, saying that you have not taken permission for an indoor program. As all of us know, no permission by the police is ever required. Suraj, had you taken permission for this? No. You are lucky. Nobody has come to stop it. Had it been the BJP government, maybe they would have surely stopped it. This is what they did in Delhi. And VJK was telling me, what happened yesterday never happened even during the emergency. He's right. So this is the situation that is there today, and that is why what happened in Karnataka a few months ago has a very important significance. Although, as I said, and I added a caveat, that we should not have too many illusions about what has happened. That I'll come to in a moment. Dear friends, so far I have been used to generally addressing conventions, public meetings of the peasants of India, farmers, agricultural workers, sometimes of the workers of India. But today, I'm really very happy that on an issue like the escalating cost of living and the fight back, I am addressing to a large extent the middle class of India today. And I'm happy. Why? I'm happy because if the middle class, the young men and women, come together in large numbers in a city like Bangalore on the question of the cost of living, which no doubt is a very genuine issue today, not only in Bangalore, but in every city and town all over India. What does that show? That shows that the crisis of the system today is now no longer limited to the peasants and workers. It has now spread even to the middle classes. Many of you I know are IT professionals with a reasonable income. Although I would not say that you have been given the justice that you deserve by the IT companies. But anyway, this section is also coming in the path of struggle, which is a very, very welcome change for the better in today's Bangalore, in today's Karnataka, and in today's India. I will give you another example. 2 years ago, our General Secretary, Comrade Sitaram Yechuri, who was to inaugurate this convention but had to go to Manipur, Comrade Sitaram and I had gone for the party state conference in Gujarat. And that was in Rajkot. Rajkot is a large city in Gujarat next to Ahmedabad. And we were very surprised. It was a party conference. But when the entrepreneurs of Rajkot, when they came to know that Comrade Sitaram is here in Rajkot, they invited us for a meeting of the entrepreneurs of Rajkot city. Entrepreneurs means, you know, small industrialists with small plants that they had, 50 workers, 100 workers, 30 workers, like this, small factories. They invited us, we went. And you'll be surprised to know, many of them were there, nearly 200 entrepreneurs were there. And they told us something which was shocking. They said, you all heard about farmers' suicides. But let us tell you this, that in the last 2 years, in Rajkot city, which as you know is in the Gujarat, of which are the two main leaders today of our country? From which state do they hail? Gujarat, Modi and Shah. They said, today in Rajkot, as a result of the crisis that all of us are also facing, industrialists, 151 small industrialists in Rajkot have committed suicide in the last 3 years. Can you imagine? Suicide. Because they just could not face the competition from the big corporates. The entire policy of the government, both the Gujarat government and the central government, was weighted against even the small entrepreneurs of this country. 151 in a town like Rajkot having committed suicide over the last 3 years. The point is, the crisis is spreading to new sections every time. And this is what we require to understand and to really go to the roots of it. Why exactly is this happening? I was very happy to read the concept note that you have all prepared for this convention. And in that concept note, which is entitled Cost of Living Crisis and Building the Fight Back, you have very correctly zeroed in on the four main reasons why the cost of living is increasing in Bangalore. Although you are targeted Bangalore because you are here, the same four reasons apply to the cost of living crisis which is there all over India. So in a way, you have generalized the situation all over India in your note. And what are the 4 points that you have targeted very correctly? Number one, the question of house rent astronomically increasing. You have given the specificities of Bangalore. 10-month rent taken in advance. When I was coming, Vasant Rajji was telling me that in some places they take 3 years advance as rent. Am I right? Some places. But 10 months is a regular thing. In the city in which I was born and brought up, a bigger city than yours, I was born and brought up in Mumbai. In Mumbai, even today, they will take maximum 3 to 4 months advance. 3 to 4 months. In Delhi, where I am staying now, the national capital, they take 3 or 4 months advance. But in Bangalore, they take 10 months. And this is the whole question of house rent. The second you have targeted is transport costs, very correctly. Extremely poor state of public transport in Bangalore. You have to have some kind of a taxi or your own car, vehicle, etc. There also the petrol, diesel costs are prohibitive. Third thing you have targeted is very correctly the whole question of education of children. The privatization and the tremendous costs of education now for our children. And the fourth aspect that you have targeted is that of health care. Very truly, even for an upper middle class family, certainly for a lower middle class family, not to speak about working class and peasant families, health care costs have become today prohibitive. Because government health care is almost absent. Almost absent. And where present, it is in such bad conditions that nobody who wants to remain alive will probably use that. But then what do we have? Suraj was telling me just now when we were coming, a little extreme case, right? But there are many such cases. Your Manipal hospital in Karnataka, Suraj was telling me, during Corona, an IT professional developed Corona. He was the only son of his parents. They were from Bengal. They came here, put his son in the Manipal hospital. The cost became 3.7 crore. 3.7 crore. Suraj, am I right? You told me this when we were coming. At the end of it, the poor boy died. The parents sold all their property, land, flat, everything in Bengal so that the son might live. They spent 3.7 crores. The son died. Have we not got many such examples during Corona, after Corona, before Corona, where private hospitals may not have charged crores, but certainly lakhs, they have charged, all private hospitals. This is the situation that we are faced with today. You see, we have to go to the root cause of this. Why is the cost of living crisis escalating so seriously now? What are the reasons? Unless we know the reasons, whom are we going to fight? Whom are we going to fight? That is the main point. And therefore, I remember Vasant Raj telling me when coming, in the 1970s, 1980s, even as much as the early 1990s, people who are working honestly, sincerely, middle class people, IT professionals, teachers, professors, they could dream of buying a plot of land in Bengaluru, building a small house, a small bungalow, till the early 1990s. Now, many of you must have been born after that time, so you don't know. But that's a fact. That's a fact. Not only in Bangalore, in a place like Mumbai also. We could buy some plot of land, maybe not in the center of the city, but in the suburbs, erect some house where we could stay, some bungalow. Today, tell me in 2023, however hard you work, is it possible for you to buy a plot of land anywhere in Bengaluru and construct a house in it? Tell me the answer. Is it possible? Not possible. This is the difference in the last 30 years. And that is exactly what we have to see. Why has this difference occurred? What has changed in the last 30 years? If we really want an actual reason, what has changed in the last 30 years? The real answer would be the entire policies of the government have changed. There has been a sea change. There has been a paradigm shift in the policies of both the central and the state governments, most of them. And what are these new policies that have come? All of you are aware of the term neoliberal policies that started, inaugurated in the country in 1991. Exactly 32 years ago today. And how are these characterized, neoliberal policies? There are three catchwords, all of you must have heard about them. Liberalization, L, privatization, P, globalization, G. This is what are called the LPG policies, economic policies that have begun in the country from 1991 onwards. LPG, not liquid petroleum gas. That LPG cylinder is different. We'll come to that. Not that. This is liberalization, privatization, globalization. All policies dictated by the imperialist powers, agreed to by the ruling classes of India, right from 1991 onwards, in return of the huge kind of loans taken from the World Bank, from the International Monetary Fund, as part of the conditions of the World Trade Organization. All these things started after that. I'm not going into all those genesis of all those policies because that is not the topic for today. That one can, certainly, and one should go to the roots of that, what exactly those things were. But today is not the time for it. To make a very, very complex thing very simple, what were these neoliberal policies? Neoliberal policies, the government, the paradigm shift was this: earlier times, before 1991, it is not my case that there was a utopia in India even before 1991. It wasn't. But at least some pressure of the freedom struggle of India was there on the rulers at that time. Some pressure of the middle classes, the peasantry, the working class, who had, after all, the lion's share of sacrifice during the freedom struggle of India against British imperialism. And therefore, something was thought of for the common people to some extent. Although even during those first 40 years, the biggest profits were made by the corporates, by the landlords, even in the first 40 years after independence, no doubt about that. But at least, to some extent, the common people had some place in the thinking of the rulers at that time. After 1991, all that changed. And then it became government policies directed at only one aim: enriching the corporates, both domestic and foreign. Foreign in the sense, the multinational corporations, transnational corporations, and the domestic corporates that all of you know, which are the two most classic names today of the domestic corporates who have gained tremendously in the last few years. Tell me. Yes, very right. No prizes for guessing. Ambani's and Adani's. Absolutely right you are. So therefore, they have all actually tremendously gained as a result of the policies of the last 32 years. Only they have gained. And today we see, if that is the thrust of government policies, what do we see today? And what is at the bottom of what we are talking about today? Cost of living crisis. Let us take some examples so that we'll understand actually what exactly is happening in our country. Take the question of, you said correctly, transport, the second point in your thing. Transport costs rising. What happened to petrol and diesel? In 2014, I am now trying to limit the canvas. If we go to 1991, it will be even bigger. But let us try to limit it, because otherwise it becomes too diffuse. In 2014, the price of petrol was 66 rupees per litre in India. And today, it has become anything between 97 to 107 rupees per litre, depending on the city that you are in. Am I right? Many of you are using cars, two-wheelers, four-wheelers, etc. It's between 97 to 107. from 66 per liter in 2014. In the last 9 years, it has grown to over nearly 100 rupees. What about diesel? Diesel was only 50 rupees per liter in 2014. Today it has gone to 90 to 95 rupees per liter diesel, depending on the city and the state that you are in. So that's also nearly 100. Both are very nearly either crossed or very near a century. Never has it happened like this. And why have the costs grown? Is it because the international price of oil has grown? You will be surprised to know in the last 9 years, international price of oil has become half of what it was in 2014, or nearly half. And even then, price of petrol and diesel have increased like tremendously. Why? Because of the central excise tax imposed by the central government on petrol and diesel. 65% of this 100 rupees or 90 rupees is actually tax collected by the central government from us. 35% is the actual cost of petrol and diesel. How many of us know this? Should we not propagate this to the people of Bangalore? Should we not? We should. 35% is the actual cost of actual petrol and diesel. 35 rupees. Remaining 65 is the central excise tax which the central government is actually imposing, and no less a person than the Finance Minister of India, Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman, in one of her budget speeches, she said very proudly, what did she say? Between 2018 to 2021, the central government has collected, this is the Finance Minister of India speaking, the central government collected, she told the House, Parliament, 8.02 trillion rupees. Please mark this figure. 8.02 trillion rupees were collected as excise duty from the people by the BJP central government in the 3 years between 2018 to 2021. That means 8 trillion rupees were taken from all our pockets, all over India. 8 trillion rupees. This is the point. We were told in 2014, you may remember that promise. Do you remember Ujjwala gas? That promise of Ujjwala gas? You will get gas cylinder free. That's what we were told in 2014. Today, the first gas cylinder was got free by most people. Only the one, first one. Not the second, not the third, not the fourth. In 2014, an LPG gas cylinder that we use at home used to cost 410 rupees in 2014. Today, the cost of a gas cylinder which we use for home use is 1,103 rupees only. 400 to 1,100. Nearly 3 times. अच्छे दिन आए ना? अच्छे दिन आ गए. 400 से 1100 हो गए. So this is what we must understand. Now, does that not have a cascading effect, especially petrol and diesel? on all your other cost of living indices? How do your vegetables come? How do your fruits come? How does all your grain come in the market? Who runs that? Either trucks or trains, both of which run on diesel. Now, if the diesel cost goes from 50 rupees to 90 rupees per liter, are not the prices of vegetables, fruits, your non-veg material, all the other grain, everything, is it not going to be double? Tell me. Clearly, cost of living is going to be tremendously increased, and it doesn't increase by only double. All the middlemen, then they increase it 4 times. Diesel has increased double. But with the middlemen, it goes 4 or 5 times. That is how the cost of living escalation occurs. And about this, main reason is the government itself and its policy. I'm going to come to this. Why are they looting the people so badly? In all taxes. That will come to. One point in your concept note, which I would like to supplement, and which is creating immense problems in dealing with the cost of living. What is that point? That point deals with unemployment. Unemployment in the sense, suppose, for example, in a family you have 2 children or maybe 3 children. 1 or 2 of those children are unemployed. They don't get proper employment. And we know, even in your IT industry, in the first attack of Corona, the kind of retrenchment that was there, all of us are familiar, all over the country. Even today, do we have social security in the IT sector? Are we having any protection against retrenchment even in the IT sector? No. Same thing as far as factories are concerned. Unorganized workers, of course, they have nothing. Meenakshi Sundaram, Vijay K. Nair, all of these people know it all very well. They are experts in this. So therefore, this question of unemployment, suppose 1 or 2 children in the family are unemployed or underemployed, does not your power to combat the cost of living crisis, is it not affected? Certainly it is affected. And therefore, unemployment is a very, very, very important point, which is very much allied to the cost of living crisis, because if you have unemployment, that much your capacity to be able to deal with the cost of living crisis is markedly reduced. That is the point. And therefore, I am reminding you of another promise made in 2014 by some people. Again, no prizes for guessing who said it. What was told to us? If we come to power, 2 crore people will be given jobs per year. 2 crore. Do you remember this, or have you forgotten? You remember, or have you forgotten? Remember, no? 2 crore per year. Up to now, in the last 9 years, 18 crore people should have got jobs at that rate. 18 crores. What is the actual situation? Government records show us, I'm giving all these figures are all Totally, you can see it from government records, international agency records, everywhere. Government records tell us in 2013, 44 crore people had job of one kind or the other in India. How many? 44 crore. And in 2022, I said 44 crore when? 2013, 2013. In 2022, the number of Indians with jobs of one kind or the other came down to 38 crores. 38 crores, 44 to 38 crores. How many less? 6 crores less in the last 9 years. Instead of 18 crore more that should have happened, you are having an India at the end of 9 years with 6 crore less jobs. I can see my sisters over here, young girls. What has happened to women's employment? Women's employment has been the hardest hit. In 2013, the work rate for women, that means how many women were employed somewhere or the other, was 36%. I'm talking about women's work rate. 36%, 2013. And today, 2022, what has women's work rate come to? It has come to 9%. From 36% to 9%. That is only 25% of what it used to be. This is the situation. And this is what we have to understand. If this kind of unemployment continues, how can we actually be able to deal with the cost of living crisis? That is one very important point which also we'll have to fight against. Some other points which I would like to just mention so that we see a little beyond our horizon. Because India is much bigger than any of us. India is much bigger than any of us here. And we should know what is happening in a large part of India with which some of us may perhaps not be very familiar. Because we are from a slightly better off segment of society. Slightly better off, certainly. But even then we are in crisis. So what must be happening to the other half? What must be happening to the other half? On this, a few things I would like to say, because their struggle and our struggle is not separate. It is also a united struggle which we must understand. In the World Hunger Index, India was, in 2014, India's number was 55 out of 120 countries in 2014. What is India's number today in the World Hunger Index? 107 out of 121. 107 out of 121. That means there are only 14 countries in the world which are hungrier than India, and 106 countries in the world which are less hungry than India. And that includes all the countries of South Asia, including Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, only one country is worse than us, and that is Afghanistan. This is the 2023 figure. So therefore, hunger has increased. And if you go to the rural areas of Karnataka, I'm not saying any other state, you will see this hunger. There are children in the tribal areas of India, in my state, Maharashtra, in Chhattisgarh, in Jharkhand, in Orissa, in Madhya Pradesh, where lakhs of small children, they die each year just because of starvation and malnutrition. This is a fact. And that prompted one of the very leading economists of India, some of you must have heard her name, Professor Utsa Patnaik, to write a book. And the name of the book is, some of you can definitely try and get it and read it, The Republic of Hunger. That's the name of the book. Utsa Patnaik, The Republic of Hunger. So this is one. Farmer suicide, agricultural worker suicides. In the last 9 years, more than 1 lakh farmers and agricultural workers have been forced to commit suicide due to indebtedness. They have tremendous debt on their heads, can't pay it. Banks come after them, cooperative societies come after them, badnami ho jati hai, and then they commit suicide because they can't face the world. 1 lakh have committed suicide. And on this, from 1995 to now, 4 lakh farmers have committed suicide. 4 lakh. It started with the onset of the neoliberal policies. Earlier, this was not there. This phenomenon was not there. On the other hand, 2 more points which will prove the point that I was trying to make. The entire thrust of policies, whom is it aimed at? At a handful of corporates to be made tremendously rich. That is the point. And that is made clear from the fact, all of you must have seen the Oxfam International report on inequality. Oxfam report on inequality in India. The title of the report is very significant, Survival of the Richest. That's the title. Do you remember something similar? What is survival of the fittest? Whose theory was that? Charles Darwin, right? Correct? The theory of evolution. Survival of the fittest. Now, Oxfam India has brought out a report saying survival of the richest. And what is the conclusion drawn? Conclusions drawn are 1% of the richest Indians today. This is 2023 report. Now, this year, 1% of Indians are having 40% of the wealth of India. 1% have 40% of the wealth. The top 10% have 72% of the wealth of India. And the bottom 50% means 70 crore people. The population is 140 crore. 70 crore. How much of the wealth of India do they have? Just 3%. Just 3%. This is the Oxfam report. You can see it from the internet. So this is the situation there. And we have a situation where, you know, the case of Gautam Adani. In 2014, Mr. Gautam Adani, among the richest people in the world, what was his number? 609. That was his number in 2014. Gautam Adani, 609 among all the richest people in the world. In 2022 end, December, a miracle occurred. This miracle has not occurred even in the United States of America, the bastion of capitalism. It's not happened in England, not in France, not in Japan, not in Germany, nowhere. It happened in India. What happened in India? Gautam Adani at the end of 2022 became, from 609, the second richest man in the world. किसके आशीर्वाद से हुआ? With whose blessings? With whose blessings? No prizes for guessing again. On all foreign tours, the Prime Minister used to take either Adani or Ambani with him and give them absolutely delicious contracts in various countries of the world. So came number 2. But then in January 2023, the Hindenburg report came. And that was a real surgical strike, this time against Adani and all those who were protecting Adani also. And then it was shown all the wrongs, utter illegal things that Adani did to get to number 2 and who helped him in doing that. And then he came down to 300, 400 or some other place. From number 2, he again went down. Have you played snakes and ladders when you were small? Remember that game, snakes and ladders? I've played it. If you go on a snake, you come right down. That's what happened. If you take a ladder, you go right up. So therefore, this is the situation over there. In all this, you see, it is the crony corporates that are being helped in every damn single way. They are the ones who are gaining. Most recent figures, shocking. From 2014 to 2023, the loans of a handful of corporates that were waived by the public sector banks, how much was it? I have the figure with me. 15,31,413 crore. Means 15 lakh crore rupees of loans of a handful of crony corporates were waived by the public sector banks, naturally under the dictate of the central government of India. And that includes the State Bank of India, Central Bank of India, all other nationalized banks. They have just written off loans worth of 15 lakh crore rupees. Some of you may also have taken loans, isn't it? Right? For a house or for something. Tell me one example I want from this house. Has your loan been waived? One example. If you say, we will felicitate you over here on the stage. कि एक तो मिला कि मोदी जी ने उसका भी कर्जा माफ कर दिया. You will not find anybody, even in the middle class. Leave aside workers, leave aside peasants. 4 lakh farmers have died, 1 lakh farmers in Modi's rule, not a single naya paisa of farmers' loans have been waived. Not a single naya paisa. I'm talking as a activist of a farmers' organization who should know. But a handful, 15 lakh crores has been waived. So this is the point. This is the root of the cost of living crisis. Because they want this handful of people to gain at the expense of the entire people of India. See the privatization. You correctly pointed out two very important things: education and health. Why are these going beyond astronomical heights? Precisely because both education and health are totally being privatized in the country today. Totally. And that is why education is getting dearer, costlier. Health is becoming costlier. But there are examples, and I want to stress that example. That is a state which is next to Karnataka. And that state, today you have a situation where students in that state who used to go earlier to private schools are now dropping out of private schools and going back to government schools, and that state is the state of Kerala. You see some of those schools that are being built by the LDF government over there. Wonderful schools. And not just good buildings. Good buildings don't attract students. You require good teaching. So all that, totally, good teachers, etc., all that. So today you have a situation where in Kerala, instead of private schools, parents are taking children out and sending them to government schools because they are being run much better than the private schools in Kerala. It is today the private schools in Kerala which are closing down and the government schools which are flourishing. If it can happen in Kerala, why can it not happen in Karnataka, tell me? Why can it not happen? Why can a big movement, and about that I'm sure you'll all talk about it, the fight back, we have to do that. Similarly, health. We saw, even during COVID, some of the best figures came from Kerala. Why? Because of a very, very strong, well-oiled public health system in Kerala, which is not there in other states in India, not in Karnataka, not in my state, Maharashtra, not in any other state. And that is why a public health system, which has to be strong, only that can actually serve patients without taking 3.7 crore and the patient dying like Manipal. This is what we require today. And this is the alternative that we have to fight for. The whole question of rent, house rent, transport I already said, but house rent, the whole burgeoning prices of land, what is it a result of? So that a few people can become the main things of the land question, become the owners of the land. This entire thing is going on all over the country. So therefore, this is the whole trajectory of development against which all of us will have to fight, while at the same time, where you have correctly said that taking up the local issues of the people also over here. We cannot say, first change the policies, only then Bangalore will change. That cannot be the slogan. We have to fight at the local level, try to solve whatever problems can be solved at the cost of living situation. And of course, at the same time, then wage a big struggle against the entire policy trajectory itself. That's also very required. I would like to end with only 2 points. Point number 1, while this initiative taken by the Bangalore People's Convention is very, very welcome, no doubt. As I said earlier before, we have to be also a part of the national struggle against these policies, which is also taking shape. I'm very happy to inform you. On the 24th of August, today is 20th of August. On the 24th of August, in 4 more days, we are having a historic convention in New Delhi, in the Talkatora Stadium, the biggest stadium in Delhi, in the country probably. Indoor stadium. More than 7,000 workers and farmers, agricultural workers will all gather there from all over India. And this will be only the second time that workers and farmers of India have come together in such a huge manner. First time was on the 5th of September 2022, when the CITU, Kisan Sabha, Agricultural Workers Union, 7,000-8,000 people had gathered at the same Talkatora Stadium in Delhi in a joint convention. What is the difference between that and this 24th August? This is much broader, this coming one. It's not only 3 organizations. It is more than 600 organizations. All the farmers' organizations in the Sayukta Kisan Morcha, they are all there in this convention, who fought that 1 year and 15-day historic struggle against the 3 farm laws of India, and one made the Modi government surrender. All those organizations are there in the Delhi Convention. All the central trade unions, including CITU, including ITUC, INTUC, HMS, and many others, all the industrial federations, all of them are there together on the 24th August convention together. Worker-peasant unity will be symbolized all over the country in this 24th August convention in Delhi, and that will give a clarion call for a nationwide struggle against these policies. On concrete demands, just as you are also fighting for concrete demands here. So on those concrete demands, but also against the policy trajectory, this is also a very important thing that will be done there on the 24th of August. So we have to fight as part of the whole national struggle also. I remember in Karnataka, I would like to specially mention it, this farmer struggle which I talked to you about, 1 year struggle. The Sayukta Horata in Karnataka, a very big platform of farmers' organizations, workers' organizations, agricultural labor, Dalit, Adivasis, all of them, women, they all came together and they mobilized all these sections throughout in Karnataka in solidarity with the Delhi farmer struggle. I have myself come to huge demonstrations of yours in Bangalore, of the Sayukta Horata, in Belgavi, in other places, in Kalburgi. And I've seen the kind of tremendous vitality that was there among all of them. So all of you have also contributed to the victory of this farmers' struggle all over India. Karnataka has had a very, very important role to play. I congratulate you for this. So we have to be part of this national struggle. Which call will be given on the 24th of August? That's one point. Second and the last point, and which we should never forget. That point is, whenever we come in the battlefield to struggle as you are doing now, against the whole question of cost of living crisis, when you are coming together, when you are going to go to every area of Bangalore, I was very happy to see from areas, different areas, all of you have booked transport buses and have come over here at your own expense. I saw all those buses outside. Hearty congratulations to all of you. But when we fight, there are people, there are forces who will always try to dynamite, to splinter our unity on the basis of religion, caste, and language. Never underestimate the conspiracy of these forces. Never. And therefore, when we are fighting, the whole BJP RSS network, which, like the British imperialists before them, are now also employing the same kind of tactic, divide and rule. That's what the British used. Divide and rule. The BJP RSS are doing exactly the same thing. Divide and rule. Why? So that their power remains. So that the power of the Adanis and Ambanis and their other crony corporates remains. So that the power of the people is dynamited, is destroyed. That is exactly what they are up to. While fighting for our demands, our fight and struggle against all those who divide us, which has been very well fought in Karnataka, should be even stronger fight should be given to them on the question of religion, caste, and language. Every effort to divide us must be fought tooth and nail by all of us in the days ahead. I'm sure while fighting against the cost of living crisis, while fighting for the fight back, all of us will also be a part of the national struggle on all these issues and will also combat this greatest enemy before the country today, the communal forces, the fascistic forces, the authoritarian forces. All this will also form part. If we can do this, we will certainly emerge victorious and triumphant in the days ahead. There is no doubt about this. And with such a wonderful mass before me, if all of you can be fired to do this, certainly victory will be ours. There is no doubt about it. Thank you very much. Long live revolution. Inqilab Zindabad.
Thank you, Comrade. Now I invite Comrade Vishwanath to give moment to Comrade Ashok. Comrades, all you know, Comrade Ashok is a prolific writer. He has written 2 books on recent Kisan movements, which are must read for all of us who are concerned with a prosperous, progressive, equitable India. The 2 books are The Kisan Long March in Maharashtra. The second one, When Farmers Stood Up, How the Historic Kisan Struggle in India Unfolded. These 2 books, written by Comrade Ashok, are available for sale here today at a special discount. The 2 books cost rupees 565. If you buy both the books, you will get it for rupees 500. So please take this opportunity, do buy, read, and understand the significance of recent present moment. Thank you. Now I invite Comrade Adira Aravind to present resolution on recent rent increase in Bangalore.
Good afternoon, comrades. Revolutionary greetings to all of you. I am here to present the resolution on rent increase in Bangalore. The cost of living in Bangalore is reaching unprecedented heights, and one of the major contributors to this crisis is the soaring increase in house rents across the city. In this year, the housing rent in Bangalore has increased exponentially. In some places, the rent has even doubled, making it the city with the highest rental rates among India's major metropolitan areas, as indicated by market analysis. This issue resonates with everyone as a significant portion of our salary is devoted to it. The rental market throughout Bengaluru has experienced a dramatic surge. The evidence is undeniable. The prices for apartments have escalated drastically, making it increasingly difficult for individuals and families to find affordable accommodations. To illustrate the gravity of the situation, let us consider a few examples. Apartments that were once rented over 35,000 per month in Bellandur are now demanding 75,000 rupees. 2 BHK apartments in Whitefield, which cost 30,000 per month a year ago, now demand 55,000 in rent. And in Madiwala, rent for 1 BHK apartments has surged from 8,000 to 15,000. Such exponential increases have become commonplace, leading to a fiercely competitive rental market where some apartments are rented out at an astounding 25% appreciation within just 2 hours of being listed. The rental deposit for residential properties in Bangalore has exceeded that of all the other metro cities in India. In the past, landlords typically requested a security deposit equivalent to 3 to 4 months of rent. However, the scenario has shifted and they now insist on security deposits ranging from 1 to 3 years worth of rent, which translates to several lakhs of rupees. This predicament doesn't just impact individuals with lower incomes, it also casts a shadow over the entire workforce. Previously, PGs used to be a more affordable choice for people as they required a lower security deposit of 1 to 3 months rent compared to flats. However, now we are seeing that the current state of PGs has also deteriorated. PGs near educational institutions and IT parks are charging anywhere from 13,000 for triple sharing to 21,000 for single room per person. Some PGs are offering 4 to 6 sharing accommodations for around 10,000. 6 individuals cramped into a tiny room with just one bathroom and one cupboard is truly distressing. Tenants are forced to compromise on space, location, and the amenities to ensure that the rent fits within their budget. The rental crisis weighs heavily on everyone trying to sustain a decent livelihood in the city. To illustrate, major IT companies like TCS and Infosys have maintained a consistent salary of 20,000 to 25,000 per month for freshers over the past decade. However, this amount becomes a significant challenge when they have to allocate over 60% of their salary for rent in poorly serviced areas. Escalating rental costs near outskirts. Consequently, employees are dealing with extensive daily commutes of 3 to 4 hours of their journeys to and from the office, which imposes additional financial and time-related strains. This convention urges for government intervention in regulating the skyrocketing expenses of apartments, PGs, and co-living spaces.
Thank you, Comrade. Next, I invite Comrade Ravi to speak on the resolution.
Dear comrades, I extend my warm greetings to everyone gathered here. The primary focus of today's convention is the escalating cost of living in Bangalore city. Over the past few years, the cost of living in the city has risen dramatically, causing significant hardship for the majority of residents in this urban center. It is widely acknowledged that substantial portion of our salaries is now being allocated to housing rent. Our comrade Adra has presented a resolution that accurately portrays the challenges related to the surge in accommodation expenses. I wholeheartedly endorse this convention's call to the government to intervene on various fronts and regulate the upward trend in house rents. Drawing from my personal experiences, I have witnessed instances where friends were paying rupees 10,000 for a 2 BHK flat in Madiwala. However, post-COVID, the rent for the same flats escalated twofold, reaching rupees 20,000. Additionally, the security deposit amounts have increased exponentially. Securing a decent living space within a reasonable distance from our workplace has become a distant aspiration for the common man in this city. Now it's becoming increasingly common for 5 to 6 people to reside in a 1 BHK flat. Conversely, people are being compelled to choose PG rooms with even 6 occupants to make accommodation more comfortable. One can easily imagine the poor quality of our leisure time when living in such cramped conditions. This substandard living environment is going to adversely affect the physical and mental health of those who are living in such congested spaces. We cannot remain passive spectators in the face of such injustice. The right to the city must be recognized as a fundamental entitlement for every urban dweller. These days, even individuals earning substantial income now grapple with the challenge of finding affordable accommodations in Bangalore. The current situation in Bangalore is distressing. It seems that individuals are toiling in the city solely to meet their housing expenses. You may have noticed rickshaw drivers sleeping in their autos during the late nights and early mornings as you walk through the streets. Do not assume that they are merely taking a nap during their night duty. For many of them, the auto serves as their only dwelling place. A majority of these drivers have migrated from nearby areas like Kolar due to unprofitability of agriculture. They drive autos during the day and spend the night sleeping within their vehicles. Having a rented space for sleep at night is a luxury that eludes them. This is yet another phase of Bangalore, life in Bangalore. Our right to a comfortable sleep in the night must be upheld. In conclusion, we stand united in our determination to address the growing housing crisis in Bangalore. The poor living conditions and the hardship faced by the working class are the real issue of today. By advocating for change and asserting the right to the city, we endeavor to build a more equitable urban environment for all. Thank you.
Comrades, if everybody agrees, we can pass the resolution. Thank you. Next, I invite Comrade Meenakshi Sundaram to address the convention.
ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ನಗರದ ನಗರೀಕರಣದ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಡೆಯುವಂತಹ ಈ ಸಮಾವೇಶದ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷತೆಯನ್ನು ವಹಿಸಿರುವಂತಹ ಸೂರಜ್ ಅವರೇ, ಚಿತ್ರ ಅವರೇ, ನಾನು ಮೊದಲು ಮಾತಾಡುವಂತಹ ಕಾಮ್ರೇಡ್ ಅಶೋಕ್ ದವಳೆ ಅವರೇ, ನಮ್ಮ ಹಿರಿಯ ನಾಯಕರಾದಂತಹ ಕಾಮ್ರೇಡ್ BJK ನಾಯರವರೇ, ಗೋಪಾಲಕೃಷ್ಣ ಅರ್ಲಹಳ್ಳಿ ಮತ್ತು ಮಂಜುನಾಥ್ ಅವರೇ, ವೇದಿಕೆ ಮೇಲಿರುವಂತಹ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಂತಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಸಂಗಾತಿಗಳೇ, ನನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ನಾನು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸುಮಾರು ಜನ ಡಿಸಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ಜನ ಡಿಸಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಎರಡನ್ನೂ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಮಾತಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಆಗ್ಬೋದಲ್ವಾ? See, comrades, this initiative, organizing a fight back for a peaceful urban living, a quality of urban living, only working class can do. That IT cell of Communist Party of India, Marxist, you have taken up that initiation. My first request to you is, this should not stop with this convention, but we have to spread this convention to every ward of Bangalore. With the coordination of other working class masses and unorganized masses. Why it is? This urbanization is inevitable part of capital accumulation or the development of capitalism. Because very less time, I do not want to get into deep into that explanations, but when the capital grows, accumulates itself, the urbanization will happen, that the people, working people, who are toiling for the overall advancement of the society will be squeezed further. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಬಂಡವಾಳಶಾಹಿ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಯ ಬೆಳವಣಿಗೆಯ ಭಾಗವಾಗಿ ನಡೆಯುವಂತಹ ಈ ನಗರೀಕರಣದ ದುರಂತದ ಬದುಕೇನಿದೆ, ಇದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಫೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕು. ನಾನೊಂದು ಸಣ್ಣ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೇನೆ. ಜಸ್ಟ್ 2 days ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ನಮ್ಮ CIT ಆಫೀಸಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಸೀರಿಯಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇತ್ತು, ಒಂದು ನೆಗೋಸಿಯೇಷನ್ ನಡೀತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಒಂದು ಜಾಪನೀಸ್ ಕಂಪನಿ, ಸೊ ಸೀರಿಯಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ದ ಜಾಪನೀಸ್ MD himself, he is a Japanese, he came to our office first time. Okay. In the office itself, the discussion happened, trade union leaders were there. Then the Japanese MD and the Indian managers started to say several things against the workers, that all these people are dishonest, they are not working, they are not having integrity about their country, unproductive, they are not honestly working, like that. He started to tell a lot of things. He keep that generally the capitalists call working people are dishonest, particularly Indian working class is not working to their full capacity and they are not producing. And few days back, you say, when that work from home started in IT, there was a say about moonlight working, simultaneously working for multiple companies. Again, the dishonesty has come. ಯಾರು ಬಸ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಆಟೋದವನ ಹತ್ರ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗಾರು ಬನ್ನಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಮ್ರೇಡ್ ಮಾತಾಡುವಾಗಲೂ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಆಟೋದವ್ರು ಏನಾದ್ರು ಒಂದು 50 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಬದಲಾಗಿ 75 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಕೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ, ಇಡೀ ಆಟೋದವ್ರು ಇದ್ದಾರಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರೆಲ್ಲ ಕಳ್ಳರು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಡಿಸ್ಆನೆಸ್ಟ್ ವರ್ಕರ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಡಿಸ್ಆನೆಸ್ಟ್. ಮನೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋಳು ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಸತಿ ಏನಾದ್ರು 1 ತಿಂಗಳು ಬೋನಸ್ ಕೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ, ಸಂಬಳ ಬೋನಸ್ ಕೊಡಿ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ದುರಾಸೆ ಕಾರ್ಮಿಕರಿಗೆ. ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾತಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಭಾರಿ ಸಹಜವಾಗಿ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. ಹೂ ಆರ್ ಡಿಸ್ಆನೆಸ್ಟ್? ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ಸೀರಿಯಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಐ ಆಸ್ಕ್ ದಟ್ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯರ್, past 10 years, your labor cost on your turnover never crossed 2%. Is it not dishonest? 10 ವರ್ಷಗಳಿಂದ ಕಾರ್ಮಿಕರಿಗೆ ಕೊಡುವಂತಹ ಸಂಬಳ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಒಟ್ಟು ವ್ಯಾಪಾರ ಸರಬರಾಜಿನಲ್ಲಿ 2% ದಾಟಿಲ್ಲ. ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಈ 10 ವರ್ಷಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಂತಹ ಕಾಯಂ ಉದ್ಯೋಗಸ್ಥರ ಸಂಖ್ಯೆ 600ರಿಂದ 200ಗೆ ಇಳಿದಿದೆ. ಗುತ್ತಿಗೆ ಕಾರ್ಮಿಕರ ಸಂಖ್ಯೆ 100 1000 ಆಗಿದೆ. ಡಿಸ್ಆನೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ ಅದು? IT ಒಳಗೆ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ, ಇವತ್ತು ತೆಗೆದು ನಮ್ಮ ವೇಜ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಂತ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಹೈ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ IT ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ ರಿಮೂವ್ಡ್. Recently, our ITS Employees Union took up several issues of illegal termination or forceful expulsion from jobs. Very nicely they used to call and get their ID card, you are fired, finished. And continuous reduction in wage cost, wage level. Very interestingly, one more example I want to tell, because we understand that urban issues. You all know what is wage revision? Sambla revise agudandre ಏನು ಅರ್ಥ? Can anyone say what is wage revision you call? ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗೋದು. Any revision of wages, that increase in wages, ಸಂಬಳ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗಬೇಕು, ಅದನ್ನ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. The ready-made garment industry, where the majority of women are working. Just before assembly elections, the BJP government revised the minimum wages by reducing the wages below 2014 level in 2023 after 9 years. The revision, reverse revision happened. Is it not dishonest? ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಂಡವಾಳಗಾರರು ತೀವ್ರವಾದ ಶೋಷಣೆಗೆ ಕಾರ್ಮಿಕರನ್ನ ತಳ್ಳುವಾಗ ಅದರ ಜೊತೆಗೇನೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಒಂದೆರಡು ಮೂರು ವಿಚಾರಗಳು ಮಾತ್ರ ನೋಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಟೈಮ್ನ ಕೊರತೆ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ. 3 areas we have to concentrate to build the fight back. That's what CPIM is saying. CPIM seriously identifying the urbanization issues, how to organize urban people who are living in the cities, because you know the population is increasing. There is some estimate after 2025, the urban population will multiple level, almost it will become 30 to 35% of the total population. Suppose in Karnataka you take 1/6 of the population centered in Bangalore alone. It's not the entire urban area of Karnataka. Alone, Bangalore alone, more than 1 crore. 1/6 of the population centered in Bangalore. Such urbanization happens, what will happen? CPM take a very clear position. 3 areas we have to fight. The 3 areas we have to identify. The one is the reduced capacity of the working people to bargain and reclaim their right. ದುಡಿಯುವ ವರ್ಗಕ್ಕೆ ತನ್ನ ವೇತನವನ್ನು ಪಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕಿರುವಂತಹ ಚೌಕಾಸಿ ಮಾಡುವಂತಹ ಸಾಮರ್ಥ್ಯ ಕುಸಿದಿದೆ, ಕಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದು ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ತಾನು ಉತ್ಪಾದನೆ ಮಾಡುವಂತಹ ಸಂಪತ್ತಿನ ಪಾಲನ್ನು ಕೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಈ ಶಕ್ತಿ ಕಡಿತವಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಕಾರಣ ಕಾರ್ಮಿಕರು ವೀಕ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದರಿಂದ ಅಲ್ಲ, ದ ಲೆಜಿಟಿಮೇಟ್ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಏನಿದೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ನೀವೇನಾದ್ರು ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಒಂದು IT ಕಂಪನಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಲೆಟರ್ ಕಳಿಸ್ರಿ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ IT ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋರೆಲ್ಲ ಯೂನಿಯನೈಸ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ದೇ ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ ಯೂನಿಯನ್ ಮೆಂಬರ್ಸ್, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಡೇ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಸ್ಯಾಕ್ಡ್. We are seeing several struggles, a big history we are seeing in Bangalore against trade unionism, against unionization, against the fundamental right of collective bargaining. ನಿರಂತರವಾಗಿ ದಾಳಿಗಳು ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ ಕಾರ್ಮಿಕರು. ಅದು ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ನಾವು overall employment relations change agibitide. There is a very big change in employment relations. There is no employer-employee relation when there is employee-employee relation visible, when there is a very acute exploitation of working class. The precarious jobs are developing. Every area, whether it is manufacturing, service, government, every area, this invisible employer-employee relationship is prevailing everywhere. The flexible workforce, number of flexible workforce is going up. Anytime they may lose job. Organizing them itself a big problem. When that capital is organized more powerful, the worker, the labor is made to be unorganized or live in unorganized nature. The second point is a very serious privatization. Comrade Ashok Devle very clearly touched that policy issue. The privatization and commercialization of utilities, all utilities and services like health, education, water, everything, transport, everything. Little further. And third one is housing. It will become a distant dream for everyone. When that housing has become a very serious issue, the housing will become a dream for working people. They cannot achieve it. These three issues very seriously we have to take it. The recent study shows in Indian cities, if you take the urban areas or throughout country, 57% of the wage earners, monthly wage earners, 57% of the monthly wage earners are earning less than 10,000 per month. And among casual workers, that is flexible workforce, generally they used to call outsourced workers, 59.3% of the casual workers are earning an average between rupees 5,000 to 7,500 per month. And 84.3% of casual workers in total earning lesser than 7,500 rupees. Very interestingly, if you take that Bangalore's average, there's some 30, 40 companies they have taken from public sector, private sector, IT, and some of the industrial areas. There was a study. The Bangalore casual workers earning stands between rupees 2,000 per month to 15,000 per month, between that, if they work for 8 hours. And the average earning stands at 10,000 rupees. That is a very crucial point of Bangalore. So majority of the workforce are casual workers or the working in Swiggy or service like that. And total duration of the time they are working in a day and their earning, if you average it out, it is not crossing 10,000 rupees per month on an average. Interestingly, you know, many migrant laborers are coming from North India. If you take that Gujarat's average, Gujarat urban, including Gujarat's capital, Ahmedabad, casual workers' average possible earning is 6,000 rupees per month. Uttar Pradesh, 5,750 for unskilled, semi-skilled 6,325, highly skilled 7,000 rupees. Average earning capacity of a casual worker or flexible workforce. The permanent workers' wage rates are different. When we are speaking about that high cost accommodation or something, the majority of the city people, Bangalore people, they are living in utter poverty. They could not afford anything. So how to regain that? I said that example, that revision of minimum wages, notified minimum wages was happening in a reverse direction. If we had to reverse it, the fight back should happen in a common field. A bigger organization, a bigger resistance and insisting over the rulers and this capitalist class and the state government, central government, that only will give the relief. For that, we have to mentally prepare to get these urban issues. Particularly interestingly, I'll tell you, the Karnataka is having different centers to study this consumer price index. Past 3-4 quarters, if you say, you'll be wondering, the Harihara, Davanagere district, that is a heaven for living. Do you know why? Very cheap prices available there, very cheap food grains are available there, and everything is very cheap. They are finding 3-4 market centers to study the consumer price. What happened? These employers are going to that inspectors who are studying at the market. What is the consumer price and other things? No, they have to collect the data. They're influencing them and they are making them to be a wrong report. One meeting a tripartite meeting called by the government, the statistical department director, by tongue slips, he told, last time you have declared 700 points average consumer price index per year in 2018 or 17, it seems. She told, all employers have come and pressurized us, so we reduced it to 400. So it is not the price rises reflecting in the consumer price index, but the capitalist pressure there. And they have changed the basis also for consumer price index and everything. So all these reducing our bargaining power even to get the legitimate wages notified by the government minimum wages level, and speaking about living wages, fair wages, that will become a distant tool. But we have to fight back on this basis. For that, some organization is very much necessary. And particularly if you take not only health, much has spoken, I do not want to get into that. Health completely privatized, health tourism. Now that hospitality services linked with health services, there are a lot of linkages, how they are extracting money from the common people. And government hospitals will not have facilities. 1 or 2 government hospitals will be there, and you cannot get an operation theatre there for any serious illness. All these problems are there. ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆಗೆ ಸಿಕ್ಕಲ್ಲ, ಜಾಗ ಸಿಕ್ಕಲ್ಲ, ಏನಿಲ್ಲ, ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ಗಳೇ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಅನಿವಾರ್ಯ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡ್ತದೆ. ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಇನ್ಶೂರೆನ್ಸ್ ಕಂಪನೀಸ್ ಡ್ರೈವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅದನ್ನು. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ಶೂರೆನ್ಸ್ ಕವರೇಜ್ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಮುಗೀತು, ಎಲ್ಲನ ಅವ್ರು ದೋಚ್ಕೊಂಡೇ ಕಳಿಸೋದು ಆಚೆಗೆ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್, ಇದನ್ನು ದಾಟಿ ಪ್ಲೇಯಿಂಗ್ ಏರಿಯಾ, ಲೈಬ್ರರಿ. ನೀವು ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಓದಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ಈ ರೀತಿಯಾದಂತಹ ಸಂಬಳ ಮತ್ತೊಂದಿದ್ರೆ ಮನೆಗಳಂತೂ ದೊಡ್ಡದಾಗಿರಲ್ಲ, ಮಕ್ಳಿಗೆ ಓದೋಕ್ಕೆ ಜಾಗ ಸಿಕ್ಕಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರು ಓದಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಲೈಬ್ರರಿಗೆ ಹೋದರೆ ಒಂದು ತಿಂಗಳಿಗೆ 1500 ರೂಪಾಯಿ, 2000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಬಾಡಿಗೆ ಕಟ್ಟಿ ಲೈಬ್ರರಿ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಓದಬೇಕು. 1 hour 2 hours ಹೋಗಿ ಓದಲಿಕ್ಕೆ. ಪ್ಲೇ ಏರಿಯಾ, ನೀವು ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅಥ್ಲೆಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಆ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಯೂಟಿಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಮೇಕ್ ಅ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಪೇ ರೆಂಟ್, ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಪೇ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್, ಆಲ್ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲೈಸ್ಡ್. ಈವನ್ ಪಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಫ್ರೀ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಿಧಾನಕ್ಕೆ ದ ಫೋಕಸ್ ಆನ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಇನ್ಫ್ರಾಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಟುವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ದ ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ ಮಾಂಗರಿಂಗ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಏನಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವರನ್ನ ಶೋಕೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ, ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟನ್ನು ಅಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ, ದುಡಿಯೋ ಜನರನ್ನ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಂದ ಆಚೆ ದಬ್ಬಕ್ಕೆ. ಹೌ ಡು ಯು ಫೈಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್? ಸೊ ಮನೆ ಅಂತೂ ಹೇಳೋದೇ ಬೇಕಿಲ್ಲ, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ. ಒಂದು ಕಾಲಕ್ಕೆ ದ ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಟೈಲ್ ಮಿಲ್ಸ್, ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರು ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತ, ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ಮೆಜೆಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತ ಇದ್ದಂತಹ ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಟೈಲ್ ಮಿಲ್ಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಈಗ ಶಾಪಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಲ್ಗಳಾಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ದ ರಾಜ ಮಿಲ್ ಅಂತ ಇತ್ತು, ಮಿನರ್ವಾ ಮಿಲ್ ಅಂತ ಇತ್ತು, ಬಿನ್ನಿ ಮಿಲ್ ಇತ್ತು, ಈಗ ಲೂಲು ಮಾಲ್. ಬಸ್ ಹೋದರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಖಾಲಿ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತದೆ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಎಳೆದೋಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ ಮಾಲ್ ಮುಂದೆ ಬಸ್ ನಿಂತರೆ. ಹಿಂದೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ರಿಗಳಿದ್ರೆ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ರಿ ಪಕ್ಕ ವರ್ಕರ್ಸಿಗೆ ಕಾಲನೀಸ್ ಇರ್ತಿತ್ತು, ಈಗೆಲ್ಲ ಯಾರು ದುಡಿತಾರೋ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ನಗರದಿಂದ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಹಾಕುವಂತಹ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಅವಾಗ ಇವುಗಳನ್ನು ಮೀರಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? ಸೊ ನಮ್ಮ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ CPIM ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾಗಿ ಹೇಳುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಇದನ್ನು ಹಿಮ್ಮೆಟ್ಟಿಸುವಂತಹ ಚಳುವಳಿಯನ್ನು ನಗರ ಪ್ರದೇಶಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕಾಗಬೇಕು. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಶೇಷ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಂದರೆ, ವಲಸೆ ಬಂದಿರೋರು ಎಲ್ಲ ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೂಯೆನ್ಸನ್ನು ತರ್ತಾರೆ. ಗುಜರಾತಲ್ಲಿ 7,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಸಂಬಳ ತೊಗೊಳಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ 10,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಯಾವ ಪಾರ್ಟಿನ ಅಂದರೆ BJPನೇ ಬೆಟ್ರು ಅಂತಾನೆ, ಸ್ವರ್ಗ ಕೊಡ್ತದೆ ಅಂತಾನೆ. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಬಂದಂತ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ. ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ಕಾನ್ಸಿಯಸ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ, ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಕಾನ್ಸಿಯಸ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ. UPಯಿಂದ ಯಾಕೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ರೆ ಯೋಗಿ ಶ್ರೇಷ್ಠ ಅಂತಾನೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಂಬಳ ಸಿಕ್ಕಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಬಂದಿರ್ತಾನೆ. ಬಹುತೇಕ ಸಂದರ್ಭಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಉತ್ತರ ಭಾರತದಿಂದ ದಕ್ಷಿಣ ಭಾರತಕ್ಕೆ, ಕೇರಳಕ್ಕೆ, ಕರ್ನಾಟಕಕ್ಕೆ, ತಮಿಳುನಾಡಿಗೆ ವಲಸೆ ಬರುವಂತಹ ಕಾರ್ಮಿಕರಿಗೆ ಇದೇನೇ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಗಲ್ಫ್. South India has become Gulf for them. But they will say, BJP is ruling better. Tomorrow if they get voting right here, naturally they will vote for BJP. So they can send voters to anywhere. Voters also can be migrated. So now how to approach them? That is the biggest challenge before us. What Communist Party is saying. In the cities, in the living localities, We have to make different forums. It is not a sectoral struggle. It is a collective struggle of people. We try to organize the unorganized. The people are forced to be unorganized. We have to organize them beyond their caste, religious, or various other differences, language differences. We have to get together. When they divide, we should unify them. We should become part of unity. Every Communist Party member or follower should play a role of unifying the working people in the cities, urban cities. We have to take up specific issues. We have to make studies. Every ward, locality-wise, a collective convention should be made. We have to try to pull in several like-minded organizations into us, several mass organizations into us, and we have to form locality-level committees. With that committees, if we create a mood, the fight back will become possible. So that is the decision even CPIM has taken. As part of that IT cell also taking the issue. Our IT local committee initiated here, and our Bangalore committees, particularly the Bangalore city, should be concentrated on, since it is the capital city of Karnataka. This will develop a trend, a political trend throughout Karnataka. With that, a collective resistance we have to build. By that only that fight back can happen, to enhance the collective bargaining right against the privatization of utilities and services, of public utilities and services, against unimaginable or inhuman rise of rent, and the housing is repeatedly becoming dream of the common man, and we have to make it realized by fighting for a reasonable housing for everyone. With that, demands we have to coin and take these demands to the level of workers and common mass of the Bangalore. By organizing them, we can expose the dishonesty of capitalists and how their profit mongering is squeezing our life and making majority of the people, working people, out of the active market activity, how they are excluding them from the economic development. That we can expose. By that we can develop a real alternative, and we can pressurize the governments for a real alternative, which is people-centric alternative. With these words I conclude. Again, I congratulate you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Comrade. Now I invite Comrade Suhas to give a momentum to Comrade Meenakshi Sundaram. So next, I invite Comrade BJK to address the convention.
ಅದಲೇ ಇದು ನಿಮಿಷ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಬಾರಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಟೈಮ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ನನಗೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಐ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಕಾಮ್ರೇಡ್ಸ್ ಡು ನಾಟ್ ಫಾಲೋ ಕನ್ನಡ. ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಯು ಕೈಂಡ್ಲಿ ಲಿಫ್ಟ್ ದಿ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಹೂ ಡು ನಾಟ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಕನ್ನಡ? ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಲಿಫ್ಟ್. ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಐ ಆಮ್ ವೆರಿ ಹ್ಯಾಪಿ that the young comrades are learning Kannada. At least to bargain with the house owners, you have to learn Kannada. ಈಗ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಗಳು ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಎಲ್ಲವೂ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಪಟ್ಟೆ ಹೌಸ್ ರೆಂಟ್ ಆಗತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. ಪರಿಹಾರ ಮಾರ್ಗ ಏನು ಅಂತ ನಮ್ಮ ಹಳೆ ಮುದುಕ ಇದ್ದಲ್ಲ, ದಾಡಿ ಇರುವಂಥ ಮನುಷ್ಯ ಒಂದೇ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು, philosophers have so far interpreted the world. The question is how to change it. This is the question. ಆಗ ಎಗೈನ್ ಹಿಸ್ಟೋರಿಕಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್, ನಮ್ಮಂಥವರು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ಬರುವಾಗ ಕಾರ್ಮಿಕರಾಗಿ ಬಂದವರು. ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾರ್ಖಾನೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಕಾಲದ ಮಾಡೆಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲೈಸೇಷನ್, HAL, BEL, HMT, ITI, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಬೆಮೆಲ್ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಅಥವಾ ಕೋಲಾರ್ ಗೋಲ್ಡ್ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ಸಿನ ಮೈನಿಂಗ್ ಏರಿಯಾ, ವರ್ಕರ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು, ಮನೆಗಳ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಇತ್ತು. ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ರಿ ಕಟ್ಟುವವನೇ ಮನೆ ಕಟ್ತಾನೆ, ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ರಿ ಕಟ್ಟುವವನೇ ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆ ಕಟ್ತಾನೆ. KGF ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆ ಇರಲಿಲ್ವಾ, ITI ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಲಿಲ್ವಾ, BL ಇರಲಿಲ್ವಾ, HAL ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಲಿಲ್ವಾ, HMT ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಲಿಲ್ವಾ? ಇದೆ. ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ರಿ ಕಟ್ಟುವವನೇ ಮನೆ ಕಟ್ತಾನೆ, ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆ ಕಟ್ತಾನೆ, ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಕಟ್ತಾನೆ, ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಕಟ್ತಾನೆ, ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಕಟ್ತಾನೆ, ಕಲ್ಚರಲ್ ಆಫೀಸ್ ಕಟ್ತಾನೆ. ಆ ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ರಿ ಓನರ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಯಾಕಿಲ್ಲ? ಇದು ಕೇಳೋದು ಮುಖ್ಯವಾದಂಥ ಗುರಿ ಇರಬೇಕು. IT ಆವತ್ತು ನಾವು ಘನ ಕೈಗಾರಿಕಾ ಕಾರ್ಮಿಕರು 70ನೇ ಇಸ್ವಿ 80ನೇ ಇಸ್ವಿಯಲ್ಲಿ 1.25 ಲಕ್ಷ ಜನನೇ ನಾವು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ. 1.25 ಲಕ್ಷ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರನ್ನೇ ಶೇಪ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ನಮಗಾಗಿದೆ. ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋರಾಟಗಳು ಒಂದಾಗಿ ಸೇರಿ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಅದು ಈ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ IT ಎಲ್ಲ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ಬರೀ IT ಕಾರ್ಮಿಕರು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ 30 ಲಕ್ಷ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. 30 ಲಕ್ಷ ಜನ, 1 ಲಕ್ಷ ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರನ್ನು ಹೆಂಗೆ ತಿರುಗಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಾಗುತ್ತೋ 30 ಲಕ್ಷ ಜನ ಸೇರಿದ್ರೆ 30 ಪಟ್ಟು ತಿರುಗಿಸ್ಬೋದು. ಇದು ಮೊದಲು ಕಲಿಬೇಕು. ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ನನ್ನ ಒಳಗಿದೆ, ಹನುಮಂತ ಎದ್ದೇಳೋ ಅನ್ನೋದು ನೀನೇ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಬೇರೆ ದಾರಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಇದು ತಿಳಿದು ನೀವು ಸಂಘಟನೆ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಲೈನ್ ಏನು, ನನಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಟೈಮ್ ಇಲ್ವಲ್ಲ. ಕಾರ್ಮಿಕ ಚಳವಳಿಗೆ ಕೆಲವು ಇವುಗಳಿದೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂವಿಧಾನ ಅನುಸರಿಸಿ ನಾವು ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಇವತ್ತು ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಂವಿಧಾನಾತ್ಮಕವಾಗಿ ನಡೀಬೇಕು ಅಂತಲೇ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಧವಳೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಯಾವತ್ತು ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು, ನಾನಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತಾಗ ನಾನು ತುರ್ತು ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸಮಯ ನೋಡಿಲ್ಲ ಇದು ಈ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮೀಟಿಂಗನ್ನು ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಇದು ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಮೋರ್ ದ್ಯಾನ್ ದಾಟ್ ತುರ್ತು ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ. ಆ ಕಾಲದ ಈ ಥರ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಹೀಗೆ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮರಳಿ ಪಡಿಬೇಕಾದರೆ ಕೆಲವು ತತ್ವಗಳಿವೆ. ಸಂವಿಧಾನದ ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ 43 ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ಏನಿದೆ, ಎವ್ರಿ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಶಾಲ್ ಎನ್ಶ್ಯೂರ್ ಎ ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ವೇಜ್ ಫಾರ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ಒನ್. ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ವೇಜ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಮನೆ ಬಾಡಿಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು, ಆಹಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಎಷ್ಟು, ಶಾಲೆಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಖರ್ಚು, ಆರೋಗ್ಯ ನೋಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಏನು. ಧವಳೆಯವರು ಮಾತಾಡಿದಾಗ ಹೇಳಿದರು, ಆರೋಗ್ಯ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ನವರೇ ಮಾಡುವ ಕಾರಣದಿಂದಾನೇ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅದು. ನನಗೆ ಬಹಳ ಆಶ್ಚರ್ಯ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ನಾನೊಂದು ಔಷಧಿ ತಗೋಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಪರ್ಸೆಂಟೇಜ್ GST ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಅವನಿಗೆ. ಅದೇನದು? ಕಾಯಿಲೆಗೆ ನೀ ಚಿಕಿತ್ಸೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದವ, ಬಿಟ್ಟಿಯಾಗಿ ಚಿಕಿತ್ಸೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದವ, ನಾವು ಔಷಧಿಗೆ 20%, 28% ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. ಶುಡ್ ವಿ ನಾಟ್ ಫೈಟ್? ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ, ಇದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಈಗ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಎಂಬ ನಗರ, ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿದರು 90ನೇ ಇಸ್ವಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಮನೆ ತಗೋಬೋದು. ನಾನು 73ನೇ ಇಸ್ವಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮನೆ ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು. ನಾನು ಊರಲ್ಲಿದ್ದ ಮನೆ ಮಾರಿನೇ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು, ನಾನೇನು ಯಾರ ಹತ್ರ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಆದರೆ ಒಂದು ಚದರ ಅಡಿಗೆ ಏನು ಬೆಲೆ ಇತ್ತು, ನನ್ನ ಭೂಮಿ ಜಾಲಹಳ್ಳಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇವತ್ತಿರೋದು 4 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಒಂದು ಚದರ ಅಡಿಗೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ಅದೇ ಭೂಮಿ 10,000 ಮೇಲೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಪಟ್ಟು ಬೆಲೆ ಏರಿಕೆ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಹೌ ಟು ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್? ಈ BJP ಬೆಳೆಯಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾರಣ ಏನು? 80ನೇ ಇಸ್ವಿಯಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಂಥ ಕಾರ್ಮಿಕರೆಲ್ಲ ಆಂಟಿ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಇತ್ತು. 12 ಸೀಟು ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ಸನ್ನು ಸೋಲಿಸಿಕ್ಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಅದೇ ಆಂಟಿ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಹೊಡೆದು ಹೋಗಿ BJP ಆಗಿದೆ. ಈ ಭೂಮಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ವಿಸ್ತೀರ್ಣ ಏನು? 709 ಚದರ ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್. ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರು area is 709 square kilometer. 1 square kilometer has 1 million square meters of area. 1 square meter is 10. It is almost 10 lakhs rupees. Understand how much land, old land of 3 rupees, 4 rupees, 1 rupees is converted to millions of rupees today. It is that primitive accumulation which comes in the form of BJP. How to attack? We are all employed people. Not me personally, I am a leader of the employed people. All of you, most of you, you are all contributing to Provident Fund. 12% from you and 12% from employer, that's almost 25% of the salary of all people is with the government. Why don't we fight to see that the houses are built by them and allotted to us? Is there no model at Solapur, the area from which comrade is coming? Adam Master has sought to it that workers get together and PF accumulation they have and got the land and built the houses. Industry comes to the house. Workers do not go to the industry. Workers can understand and fight for that. Then only basic point only I will say. Living wage, fair wage, and minimum wage. This is the report of the Fair Wage Committee of the Constituent Assembly of India, which says to see that at least for fair wage you fight. What is fair wage? At least flow back 60% of the allocable surplus after calculating the gross profit earned by the employer. After all his expenditure, depreciation, the taxes he pays, the profit he retains, afterwards what money is there, at least 60% must be flowed back to the workers. There is a fair wage bill piloted in the Constituent Assembly, and as the Constituent Assembly passed into Parliament, this got lapsed. And for 76 years, I must blame me also. Communists also did not ask for that bill to be brought back. So if the profit of the IT employers are to be plowed back to the workers, workers can build it. Workers can build it. Bangalore, 30%, 30 lakhs IT workers, if they are there, they are knowledge workers. They are knowledge workers, knowledge fighters they should become. Knowledge fighters, if they are going to organize, link up with all other masses. Don't think that any segment of workmen can, at least emancipate themselves alone. They are the utmost foolish people in this world. Emancipation is possible only by the collective and spreading collective linkages only. That is what the All India Kisan Sabha and the peasant movement has shown us. Unfortunately, the working class should have taught them that. They have taught you now. Now you will have to learn. If you can unite, if we can spread to the areas as many as these are all problems posed by employers. ಕಳ್ಳರವರೇ ಅದಕ್ಕೇನು ಅನುಮಾನ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಆ ಕಳ್ತನ ಅನ್ನ ಮಾಡುವವನನ್ನು ವಿರೋಧ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಕಳ್ಳ ಅವನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ತೋರಿಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಎಡಿಕೇಟ್ ಬೇಕು, ಜನರಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಇದು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಂಪನಿಗಳು ಲಾಭ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ IT ರಂಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿದೆ, ಈ IT ರಂಗಕ್ಕೂ ಈ ಭೂಮಿಯ ಈ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿರುವಂಥ ಬಳಕೆಗೂ ಈ ರೆಂಟ್ಗೂ ಎಲ್ಲ ನೇರ ಸಂಬಂಧ ಇದೆ. ಅವರಿಗೇ ತೋರಿಸ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ತೋರಿಸ್ಬೇಕು ಅವರೆಷ್ಟು ಕೋಟಿಗಳು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಇವರು 15 ಲಕ್ಷ ಕೋಟಿ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಹೇಳಿದಾರಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಭೂಮಿಯ ಮೇಲೆ ಏನಿದೆ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಲೆಕ್ಕ ಹಾಕಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಂದ ನಗರದಲ್ಲಿ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಕೆಲವು ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಟಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು. ಸೊ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ವೇಜಸ್ ವಿತ್ ವಿಚ್ ನೀಡ್ ವೇಸ್ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ವೇಜ್, ಫೇರ್ ವೇಜ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಟಾಪ್ ವೇಜ್. ಭೂದಲಿಂಗಂ ಕಮಿಟಿಯಿಂದೆಲ್ಲ ಬಂದಿತ್ತು 77ರಲ್ಲಿ. ಇವತ್ತು ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ, ತಿಳ್ಕೋಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ, ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಗಿ ಕನ್ವೆನ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ನಡೆಸಿ ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ಸನ್ನು ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ, ಅವರ ಎಡ್ಯುಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ, ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ತಯಾರು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಇಲ್ಲದರೆ ಏನು ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಒಬ್ಬ ಮನುಷ್ಯ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಂತು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದ, ಮುಂದಿನ ಆಗಸ್ಟ್ 14ಕ್ಕೆ 15ಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಬಂದು ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ ಇಂದ. ಅದು ಕೊಡಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡದೆ ನಮಗೆ ಶಕ್ತಿ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ತಿಳ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಅದು ನಾವು ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಖಂಡಿತ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ನಮಗೆ ಈ IT ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ನವರು ಒಂದು ತೋರಿಸಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು ಇವತ್ತು ಈ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಿಲ್ಲ. IT ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಬೇರೆ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಅವ್ರನ್ನೂ ಮಿಕ್ಸಪ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಾರ್ಮಿಕರು ಒಟ್ಟಾಗಿ ಸೇರಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ನಗರದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂಥ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇವತ್ತೇನಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಒಂದು 50 ಲಕ್ಷ ವರ್ಕರ್ಸ್, ಒಂದು 60 ಲಕ್ಷ ವರ್ಕರ್ಸ್ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆದಂಥ ವರ್ಕರ್ಸನ್ನು ನಮಗೆ ಉಂಟು ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಜನರನ್ನ ಸಂಘಟನೆ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನೀವು ಖಂಡಿತ ಮುಂದಾಗ್ತೀರಿ. ಇವತ್ತು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಿರುವಂಥ ಕಾಮ್ರೇಡ್ಸ್, IT ಕಾಮ್ರೇಡ್ಸ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಬೇರೆಯವರು ಸೇರಿಕೊಂಡು ಅದನ್ನು ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಮಿನಿಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಹೇಳಿದಂಗೆ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ವಾರ್ಡಲ್ಲಿ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿನ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವಂಥದ್ರು ಅದನ್ನು ಆರ್ಗನೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಈ ಆಲ್ ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ವೈಟಲ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್, ದಟ್ ಈ ಹೌಸಿಂಗ್, ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಕೇರ್, ಎಡ್ಯುಕೇಷನ್, ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್, ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ತಗೊಂಡೋದ್ರೆ ತುಂಬ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಒಂದು ಬದಲಾವಣೆಯನ್ನು ತರಬಹುದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವಂಥದ್ದು ನನಗೆ ಈ ಅವಕಾಶವನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟ ಈ ಸಂಘಾಟಕರಿಗೆ ವಂದಿಸಿ. ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯ ನನಗೆ ಸಿಗಲ್ಲ ಇತ್ತೀಚೆಗೆ, ಆದರೂ ಏನೋ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಸತ್ತೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಅಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಕೆಲವರು. ಸಾಯಲಿಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಕೆಲಸಗಳು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅಂದೇಳಿ ನನ್ನ ಮಾತುಗಳನ್ನು ಮುಕ್ತಾಯ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ.
Thank you, comrade. Now I invite comrade Suhas to be on the committee. Comrade Sayan. Next resolution is on increase in the transportation cost in Bangalore. For presenting that, I invite Comrade Rashmi Chaudhary to the stage.
Good afternoon and revolutionary greetings to you all. As we look into the critical aspects contributing to the rising cost of living in Bangalore, we cannot overlook the significant factor of increasing transportation expenses. This element stands as a crucial contributor to the overall cost burden. Bangaluru's public transport system is far from adequate, consisting of only 6,700 buses, partial metro connectivity, and an absence of suburban trains. A survey indicates that BMTC possesses approximately 6,700 buses, out of which only 5,660 buses are operational. Even among the air-conditioned buses within the BMTC fleet, less than half are functioning despite the evident demand. To truly offer efficient mass public transport, the city requires a fleet of around 12,000 buses on its roads. Consequently, due to these significant inadequacies, people are left with no choice but to rely upon the app-based transport services. The problem when depending on them is that platforms like Ola, Uber, Rapido, etc. have implemented a dynamic pricing system. The charges for cabs and auto rickshaws are no longer based solely on distance travel, but rather influenced by market demand and other factors. Consequently, during normal commuting hours, such as mornings and evenings, when people travel to and from offices, the fares are hiked significantly, leading to a burden on our daily expenses. This problem has reached a level of intensity where reports have surfaced of individuals paying up to 4-7 times the regular rate during peak hours. The issue isn't confined merely to app-based services. Even the interstate buses suffer from a lack of standardized rates. Relying heavily on demand-based pricing, during weekends and holidays, the bus fares skyrocket, adding further financial strain on travelers. This concern holds true for both private and government buses, creating an inconsistent and unpredictable travel cost environment. This convention urges the government to take immediate steps to regulate the very high cost of transportation.
Thank you, Comrade Rashmi. Now I invite Comrade Amal Sagar to speak on the resolution.
Dear comrades, it's a pleasure to participate in a convention that addresses the pressing issues of living cost. First and foremost, I extend my revolutionary greetings to all the comrades present at this gathering. Several resolutions have already been put forth here, encompassing various aspects that contribute to the problem of rising living expenses. Today, I wish to lend my support to the resolution presented by Comrade Rashmi, which focuses on the substantial transportation costs in Bangalore. Securing a decent living space within a reasonable commuting distance from our workplace have become a nearly impossible challenge for most individuals in the city. Regrettably, Bangalore lacks a robust public transportation system that could alleviate this issue. Although the Bangalore Metro is still in the process of expansion, its connectivity to a majority of residential areas remain inadequate. It is evident that relying solely on the current bus transportation system for our daily office commute is unfeasible due to the limited number of buses available and the bad traffic in the city. As I have previously mentioned, public transportation in Bangalore is not dependable. Consequently, people are compelled to rely on app-based taxi and auto services. Although these app-based transportation services initially offered cost-effective travel solutions, the lack of fixed pricing between destinations have led to fluctuating and dynamic fare structures. As a result, these app-based corporations are capitalizing on the vulnerable situations of the public, effectively exploiting them. The absence of existing regulations to control dynamic pricing mechanisms further exacerbates this issue. In summary, the government's neoliberal approach, characterized by the withdrawal of government in public infrastructure investment and the absence of a legal framework to curb corporate exploitation, are significant policy concerns that demand our assistance. By allocating substantial funds for the development of public transportation facility, the government could curtail the opportunity for private corporations to exploit the common populace. Thus, I urge all our comrades to step forward in the fight against this injustice and bring an end to this dire situation.
Thank you, Comrade. Another resolution to be presented now. For that, I invite Comrade Shikshaka to present a resolution on increasing healthcare expense in Bangalore.
Good evening, comrades. So I'm here to present the resolution on the increase in education expenses in Bangalore. Education constitutes a fundamental right that must be within reach for everyone. However, the escalating expenses are erecting obstacles to accessing quality education at both the school and college levels. The heart of this issue is the insufficient allocation of government funds towards public education. This lack of investment in public schools has resulted in shortage of both teachers and essential resources, consequently leading to a decline in the quality and dependability of these institutions. Due to these shortcomings, individuals are often left with private schools as their only choice. The enrollment in private high schools has surged tenfold compared to public high schools between the years 2008-2009 and 2021-2022. The primary challenge posed by private education is its steep cost. From preschool to college level studies, obtaining a quality education in today's circumstances requires a substantial financial investment impacting a significant portion of the population. A survey has brought to light the escalating expenses associated with private education. The annual tuition fees for CBSE and ICSE private schools were found to range from 1 lakh to 1.6 lakh, and this figure has further surged to over 2.1 lakh in the year 2023. Meanwhile, international schools charge annual fees reaching up to rupees 3 to 4 lakhs. When considering private schooling, the initial expense is usually an admission fee. In Bangalore, a majority of schools demand an admission fee of at least 1 lakh rupees. Furthermore, there are various other costs to account for, including uniforms, books, stationery, transportation, and additional expenses. Similar to schools, private colleges also impose substantial fees. The average expenditure for an undergraduate course in Bangalore is nearly 10 to 20 lakhs. Notably, certain programs like MPBS demand over 1 crore, encompassing donations as well. It's not only schools and colleges that's getting costly, daycare facilities are also becoming more and more expensive. As per the law, companies with more than 50 employees are supposed to provide free childcare facilities within the company premises. However, the majority of companies are unwilling to fulfill this requirement, leaving workers in a vulnerable position. Furthermore, the government's inaction in addressing this issue further worsens the problem. The rising education expenses in Bangalore demand immediate attention and substantial action. This convention demands government intervention to address this issue.
Thank you, Comrade Sadana. Next, I invite Comrade Anita to speak on this resolution. A warm good evening to all those who have gathered here today for being a part of this convention that seeks to address an issue that affects us in varying measure. Now, we are told that education is a fundamental right guaranteed by the Indian Constitution. But how are we, or for that matter, our children, supposed to access this fundamental right if it's so expensive that it's pursuing many families to depths just to ensure that their child gets basic education? Sending your children to a good school to receive good education is a dream for every parent. But if you are in a city like Bangalore, then this dream is a reality for only a few. Raising a child in Bangalore is expensive as it is, but raising a child in the city by giving them proper education is an even more difficult task. Imagine having to pay anything between 30,000 to 80,000 only to get an admission in a nursery. This is not a joke. This is the reality in Bangalore, India's IT capital, where soon enough having a family would be impossible if you are a member of the working class. The tuition fee in majority of the private schools here in Bangalore range between 60,000 to 2 lakh per year, depending on the brand of the school. For majority of the salaried class in the society, this causes a huge financial strain, which leads to many of them resorting to taking huge loans or selling their assets only to ensure their child gets a decent education, which, let me remind you, is a fundamental right. One of the reasons for private educational institutions charging such exorbitant rates
have to be the abysmal state of the public education sector in the state, mostly as a result of less government spending on public education. On top of this, the government also does not have a control on regulating fees charged by private institutions, which continues to increase their fees by 30 to 40% every year. If the situation continues like this, then the dream of a working class parent to provide decent education to their child in a city like Bangalore will remain just that, a dream.
Thank you, Comrade. Next, I invite Comrade Gopal Krishna to address the convention.
ಕಾಮ್ರೇಡ್ಸ್, ಇವತ್ತೇನು IT ಸಂಗಾತಿಗಳು ಈ ಸಮಾವೇಶವನ್ನು ನಡೆಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ತುಂಬ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬಾರಿ ಈ ಸಮಾವೇಶ ಗಂಭೀರತೆಯನ್ನು ಪಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ನಾನು ಭಾವಿಸ್ತೇನೆ. ಈ ಸಮಾವೇಶವನ್ನು ಆರ್ಗನೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದಂಥ IT ಲೋಕಲ್ ಕಮಿಟಿಗೆ ಅಭಿನಂದನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಸಲ್ಲಿಸ್ತೇನೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ಭಾಳಷ್ಟು ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾಮ್ರೇಡ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಾವು ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಇತ್ತೀಚೆಗೆ BJPಯನ್ನು ಸೋಲಿಸಿ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಸರ್ಕಾರವನ್ನು ಆಯ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಇಂಥ ಸಂದರ್ಭದೊಳಗಡೆ ಮುಂದಿನ ನಾವು ಸವಾಲುಗಳನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಎದುರಿಸಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಗೆಲ್ಲಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾರಣ BJPಯ ಕೋಮುವಾದಿ ಕೃತ್ಯಗಳು, ಮನುವಾದಿ ಸಿದ್ಧಾಂತ, ಅವರ ಆರ್ಥಿಕ ನೀತಿಗಳ ಪರಿಣಾಮವಾಗಿ ಇಡೀ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೆದಂಥ ರೈತ, ಕಾರ್ಮಿಕ, ದಲಿತ ಮತ್ತು ಪ್ರಗತಿಪರ ಶಕ್ತಿಗಳ ಹೋರಾಟ ಈ ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ತರಲಿಕ್ಕೆ, ಕೋಮುವಾದಿಗಳನ್ನು ಸೋಲಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಮುಂದೆ ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ 12,000 ಜನ ITI ಸಂಗಾತಿಗಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾರಿ ಪ್ರಮುಖವಾಗಿ ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಷನ್ ಚುನಾವಣೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಮುಂದೆ ಬರ್ತದೆ. ಈಗ ನಾವಿಲ್ಲಿ ಗಮನಿಸಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋದೇನೆಂದರೆ, ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಕಳೆದ ಚುನಾವಣೆಯ ಫಲಿತಾಂಶವನ್ನು ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ 36% ಈಗಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಮತದಾರರು BJP ಪರವಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಅಂತ ನಗರದಲ್ಲಿ. ಇದು ಭಾರಿ ಗಂಭೀರವಾಗಿ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಕೂಡ ಈ ಕನ್ವೆನ್ಷನ್ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇಂಥ ಒಂದು ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಇರುವಾಗ BJPಯನ್ನು ಸೋಲಿಸ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ವಿಚಾರ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ನಾಗರಿಕರಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತು ಹೋರಾಟಗಾರರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸವಾಲಾಗಿದೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವು ಈ ಕನ್ವೆನ್ಷನ್ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಏನು CPM ಪಕ್ಷ ಮುಂದಿನ ಅಕ್ಟೋಬರ್ ಮತ್ತು ಸೆಪ್ಟೆಂಬರ್ ತಿಂಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಪ್ರಚಾರ ಆಂದೋಲನವನ್ನು, ಹೋರಾಟವನ್ನು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೆ, ಈ ಹೋರಾಟವನ್ನು ವ್ಯಾಪಕವಾಗಿ ಬಲಗೊಳಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ಸಹಕಾರ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ನನ್ನ ಮಾತನ್ನು ಮುಗಿಸ್ತೇನೆ.
Thank you, Comrade. Now I invite Comrade Arvind to give a memento to Comrade Gopal. So, Comrades, now I invite Comrade Manjunath to address the convention.
Comrades, so already time is over. I am not taking the much more time, just 2 minutes. Comrades, ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಕಾಮ್ರೇಡ್ಸು ಮುಖಂಡರು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಹಲವು ವಿಚಾರಗಳನ್ನು ನಮಗೆ ತಿಳಿಸ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ನಗರ ಬಹಳ ವೇಗವಾಗಿ ಬೆಳವಣಿಗೆ ಹೊಂದ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ, ಹಾಗೆಯೇ ವಿಸ್ತರಣೆ ಆಗ್ತಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ನಗರ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ನಗರ. ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ಈ ಕಡೆ ತುಮಕೂರು ರೋಡ್ಗೆ ಹೋದರೆ ಅಪ್ ಟು ತುಮಕೂರು ತನಕನೂ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ವಿಸ್ತರಣೆ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕಡೆ ಚಿಕ್ಕಬಳ್ಳಾಪುರ ತನಕ ಹೋದರೂ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ವಿಸ್ತರಣೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಅಪ್ ಟು ಕೋಲಾರ ತನಕನೂ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ವಿಸ್ತರಣೆ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕಡೆ ಮೈಸೂರು ರೋಡಲ್ಲಿ ಚನ್ನಪಟ್ಟಣ ತನಕನೂ ಅಥವಾ ಮಂಡ್ಯ ಮೈಸೂರು ಗಂಟನೂ ವಿಸ್ತರಣೆ ಆಗ್ತಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಈ ಕಡೆ ಹೊಸೂರಿಗೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಕೃಷ್ಣಗಿರಿ ದಾಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ, ತಮಿಳುನಾಡು ಬಾರ್ಡರ್ ದಾಟಿ ಕೃಷ್ಣಗಿರಿ ತನಕನೂ ಒಟ್ಟೋಗಿದೆ. ಅಂದರೆ ಈ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ನಗರ ಕೇಂದ್ರೀಕೃತವಾಗಿದ್ದಂಥ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಇವತ್ತು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ನಗರ ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತ ಕೂಡ ನಗರ ಪ್ರದೇಶವಾಗಿ ಬಹಳ ವೇಗವಾಗಿ ಬೆಳವಣಿಗೆ ಹೊಂದಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ಕಾಸ್ಟು ತುಂಬ ದುಬಾರಿ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ. ಹಾಗೆಯೇ ದುಬಾರಿ ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಆ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲೇ ಕಾರ್ಮಿಕರಿಗೆ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ವೇಜಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಈ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ಅರ್ಬನ್ ಪ್ರದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ Zone 1 ವ್ಯಾಪ್ತಿಗೆ ಬರ್ತದೆ. ಅದು ಸಹಜವಾಗಿ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ವೇಜಸ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಕೂಡ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಜಾಸ್ತಿನೇ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಪಂಚಾಯತಿ ಲೆವೆಲ್ಗೂ ಮತ್ತು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ BBMP ವ್ಯಾಪ್ತಿಗೂ ಸಹಜವಾದಂಥ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ವೇಜಸ್ ಲೆವೆಲು ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಲ್ಲ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಅಂದರೆ Zone 1 ವ್ಯಾಪ್ತಿಗೆ ಬರ್ತದೆ. ಸಾಧಾರಣ ಒಂದು 2000 to 4000 ನಡುವೆ ವ್ಯತ್ಯಾಸಗಳು ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಹಾಗೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ಮ್ಯಾನುಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಚರಿಂಗ್ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಕೂಡ ಬಹುತೇಕ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ಹೃದಯ ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಂಥ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತ ಈಗ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ನೋಡ್ತವೆ. ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ಗಾರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಮಂಡ್ಯ ಈ ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ರೆ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕಡೆ ಆಟೋಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಈಗ ಬಿಡದಿ, ಆಗ ದಾಬಸ್ಪೇಟೆ, ಈ ಕಡೆ ನರಸಾಪುರ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲ್ ಏರಿಯಾ, ಈ ರೀತಿ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲ್ ಏರಿಯಾಗಳಿಗೆ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಕಾರ್ಮಿಕರು ಕೂಡ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತ ಕೂಡ ಈಗ ಸಹಜವಾಗಿ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ರಿಗಳಾದಾಗಿ ಕಾರ್ಮಿಕರು ಕೂಡ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವಾಸ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೂ ಕೂಡ ಸಹಜವಾಗಿ ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತ ಕೂಡ ಇವತ್ತು ಪ್ರದೇಶಗಳು ನಗರೀಕರಣ ಪ್ರದೇಶಗಳಾಗಿ ಇವತ್ತು ಪರಿವರ್ತನೆ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ. ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು BBMP ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಇವತ್ತು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತ ಕೂಡ ಇವತ್ತು ಇಡೀ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಜಿಲ್ಲೆ ಮತ್ತು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತ ಇರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಗಳು ಹೊಂದ್ಕೊಂಡಂಗೆ ಕೂಡ ಇವತ್ತು ಬೆಳವಣಿಗೆ ಆಗ್ತಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಈ ನಗರ ಪ್ರದೇಶಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಏನು ಪ್ರಧಾನವಾದಂಥ 4 ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳು, ಒಂದು ಹೌಸ್ ರೆಂಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಹಾಗೆಯೇ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಈ ರೀತಿ ಜನರ ದಿನನಿತ್ಯ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕಮೋಡಿಟೀಸ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕಮೋಡಿಟೀಸ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ನಿರಂತರವಾಗಿ ಬೆಲೆಗಳು ಹೆಚ್ಚಲಾಗ್ತಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಜನರ ಜೀವನ ಮಟ್ಟ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಕುಸಿತಾ ಇದೆ. ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ಬೆಳವಣಿಗೆ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಯಾರಿಗಾಗಿ ಬೆಳವಣಿಗೆ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಟ್ ಬಂಡವಾಳದಾರರಿಗೆ ಬೆಳವಣಿಗೆ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಕೂಡ ಬ್ರ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಮುಂದಾಗಿದೆ. ಈಗ ನಾವು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರನ್ನ ಬ್ರ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಯಾರಿಗಾಗಿ ಬ್ರ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು? ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಟ್ ಬಂಡವಾಳದಾರರಿಗೆ ಬ್ರ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು. ಬೀದಿ ಬರಿ ವ್ಯಾಪಾರನ, ಅಸಂಘಟಿತ ಕಾರ್ಮಿಕರನ್ನ ಹೊರ ಹಾಕಿ ಇವತ್ತು ಬ್ರ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರನ್ನ ಇವತ್ತು ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಟ್ ಬಂಡವಾಳ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಇವತ್ತು ರೂಪಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೂ ಕೂಡ ಈ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಕೂಡ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂದಾಗಿದೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಮುಂದೆ ಚಾಲೆಂಜಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾವೆ, ಜನರ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳಿದಾವೆ. ಇವು ಕೇವಲ ಮಧ್ಯಮ ವರ್ಗದ ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಇದು ಎಲ್ಲಾ ರೀತಿಯ ಜನರಿಗೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಬೆಲೆ ಏರಿಕೆ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳು ಪ್ರಧಾನವಾಗಿ ಇವತ್ತಿದ್ದಾವೆ. ಜನರ ಜೀವನ ಮಟ್ಟ ನಿರಂತರ ಕುಸಿತ ಆಗ್ತಿರೋದ್ನಾಗಿ ಈ ಮನೆ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ, ವಸತಿ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ, ಮನೆ ಬಾಡಿಗೆ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ, ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ, ಹಾಗೆಯೇ ಆರೋಗ್ಯ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ, ಇವೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ ಎಲ್ಲರ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳಾಗಿದ್ದಾವೆ. ಇವೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಕೆಳ ಹಂತದಲ್ಲಿ ಗ್ರಾಸ್ ರೂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಜೊತೆಗೂಡಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋ ಅಗತ್ಯ ಇದೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ IT ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ನ ಅಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ IT ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ನ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ IT ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಲೋಕಲ್ ಕಮಿಟಿ ಏನಿದೆ, ಈ ಕಮಿಟಿ ಕೂಡ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಜಿಲ್ಲಾ ಸಮಿತಿಗಳ ಜೊತೆ ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು, ಹಾಗೆಯೇ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಮಾಸ್ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಜೊತೆ ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಗ್ರಾಸ್ ರೂಟ್ ಲೆವೆಲಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ವಾರ್ಡ್ ವ್ಯಾಪ್ತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ, ಹಾಗೆಯೇ ಒಂದು ಪಂಚಾಯತಿ ಮತ್ತು ನಗರ ಮುನ್ಸಿಪಾಲಿಟಿ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಆರ್ಗನೈಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಾದ್ರೆ ಈ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್ನ ಅರ್ಬನ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ನಾವು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆದರೆ ಆಗ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ರೆಷರ್ ಬಿಲ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಹಾಗೆಯೇ ಪಕ್ಷವನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಜನರ ನಡುವೆ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋಲಿಕ್ಕೂ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಆ ದಿಸೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಸಾಗೋಣ. ಹಾಗೆಯೇ ಪಕ್ಷದ ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಸಮಿತಿ ಕೂಡ ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಸೆಪ್ಟೆಂಬರ್ 1ನೇ ತಾರೀಕಿಂದ 7ನೇ ತಾರೀಕು ತನಕ ಇಡೀ ದೇಶಾದ್ಯಂತ ಬೆಲೆ ಏರಿಕೆ ಮತ್ತು ಹಾಗೆಯೇ ನಿರುದ್ಯೋಗ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳ ಆಧಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಚಾರವನ್ನ ಪ್ರತಿಭಟನಾ ಸಪ್ತಾಹ ಕೂಡ ಕರೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಆ ದಿಸೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಗ್ರಾಸ್ ರೂಟ್ ಕೂಡ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಹಲವು ಕಡೆ ಪ್ರತಿಭಟನೆಗಳು ನಡೀತಾವೆ. ಆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರತಿಭಟನೆಗಳ ಜೊತೆಗೂಡಿ ಯಶಸ್ವಿ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಜೊತೆಗೂಡಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಮುಂದೆ ಈ ತರದ ವಿಚಾರಗಳನ್ನ ಇನ್ನೊಂದಷ್ಟು ಕೆಲ ಹಂತದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಕೊಂಡೊಯ್ಯೋಣ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ, ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಇವತ್ತು IT ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಲೋಕಲ್ ಕಮಿಟಿ ಏನು ಈ ಒಂದು ಸಮಾವೇಶವನ್ನ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೆಸಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ 2 ಜಿಲ್ಲಾ ಸಮಿತಿ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಉತ್ಪೂರ್ವವಾದಂಥ ಕ್ರಾಂತಿಕಾರಿ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ನನ್ನ ಮಾತು ಮುಗಿಸ್ತೀನಿ. ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು.
Thank you, Comrade. And now we invite Comrade Amal to give momentum to Comrade Manjula. Next resolution is on the increasing healthcare expense in Bangalore. For that, I invite Comrade Ashida.
Friends and comrades, I am here to represent the resolution on the increase in healthcare expenses in Bangalore. The issue of escalating healthcare expenses in Bangalore has become a growing concern, casting a shadow over the accessibility and affordability of medical services. At the core of this problem is the government's limited financial allocation for public healthcare facilities. This has sadly resulted in a shortage of public health centers and government hospitals, leaving many residents with few choices for medical care. The majority of public hospitals do not maintain the expected quality for treatment. Many of these facilities lack an adequate stock of medicines and face a shortage of staff to provide efficient services. The limited capacity of public healthcare facilities compels individuals to opt for private hospitals, which come at significantly higher cost, often exceeding tenfold. The average expense for a hospital stay in a private facility stands at Rs 31,845. Even minor ailments like a fever require expenditures of at least Rs 1,500, encompassing consultation fees and medical expenses. The issue of escalating healthcare expenses in Bangalore demands immediate and comprehensive attention. This resolution implores the authorities to awaken from their inaction and take proactive measures to regulate the surging cost of private healthcare facilities. Thank you. Red salute.
I invite Comrades, I invite Comrade Fora to speak on the resolution.
Revolutionary greetings to all gathered here today to discuss and address one of the most burning issues faced by the working class of Bangalore, the rising cost of living. This situation, as many of you already know, has worsened following the COVID pandemic and is bound to worsen in the coming years. And now we can never address this issue of cost of living without talking about how expensive it is to access healthcare in the city. For majority of the working class in the city, paying the rent itself burns a huge hole in our pockets. And on top of that, our biggest anxiety is the fear of falling sick. More than sickness, what we dread is going to consult a doctor in a hospital. You cannot complete a single hospital visit without shelling a minimum of Rs 2,000 to Rs 4,000. I'm talking about private healthcare services. If you want to survive, the public healthcare in Karnataka is never your go-to option. Most public health centers in Bangalore do not have sufficient healthcare workers. This includes doctors, nurses, and other paramedics. On top of that, infrastructure in government hospitals and public healthcare centers are also poor. The cost of accessing healthcare from private hospitals is at least 10 times more than that of government hospitals. But still, majority of the working class, including the urban poor in the city, have no other option but to opt for the expensive private healthcare because of the poor public healthcare services. Let's not even discuss chronic ailments. Going to hospital to treat a common fever or an allergy is in itself an expensive affair. First, you have to pay the registration fee, which in itself is Rs 1,000 in many private hospitals. After this, another 1,000 goes into consultation fees. More often than not, you are advised to do few medical tests, and another 1,000 rupees goes into that, followed by medicines, which are another 1,000 rupees. So even if you are not getting any treatment for a minor fever or viral infection, we have to get ready to shell out at least Rs 3,000 to 4,000. This kind of exploitation is mainly fueled by a lack of efficient public healthcare system. Leave alone lack of healthcare facilities or poor infrastructure. There aren't even adequate public healthcare facilities in many places within the city. Either they are poorly distributed or are located far away from the slums or other areas that houses the most vulnerable. Recently, I read a report in Bangalore which said that close to 20% of slum households in the city spend more than 15% of their income on availing health services. This is on top of their rent, education of children, and other daily expenses. This has worsened the poverty situation, even leading to many having to borrow money or sell their assets. Such inequities in access to and cost of services result in the poor delaying or entirely foregoing health services, particularly those with chronic conditions requiring long-term care. This is the situation of healthcare in India's IT capital, where a common working person finds it difficult to access even something as basic as healthcare. Thank you.
So, dear comrades, so far we have discussed 4 different resolutions on various aspects of the exponential increase in cost of living in Bangalore. We can consolidate today's discussion into following demands. First one, raise the minimum wage to a level to provide a decent family existence. Second, implement social housing and regulate the housing market by putting a rent cap. Third one, development of adequate public transport facility and regulate the app-based transport services. Fourth, increase the government spending on public education and steps to regulate the cost of education in private institutions. Fifth one, strengthen public healthcare system to meet the urban demands and regulate the private healthcare sector. Sixth one, enforce labor laws to ensure free baby crochet facility in company premises. This convention resolves to build area-based people collectives to campaign and mobilize the entire toiling people in the city for an effective resistance and fight back. Comrade, now I invite Vasandraj to address the convention.
Comrades, we don't have much time. Just to summarize quickly, Comrade Davade told us why cost of living is increasing and becoming a crisis. What are the policies behind it and why those policies our governments are following. That's one thing. And Comrade Meenakshi Sundaram talked about how only our working class can address these issues and how it can address issues. What are the 3 things what working class need to do? And Comrade Vijay K. Nair, told us why not we do as a working class our own sectors, our own owners, our own employers to force to address this. This was the case earlier. So combining all this, I think we will take future steps. And just to clarify, IT local front has organized this as a part of the working class only. We don't consider IT as a middle class or some other class. We consider IT as a part of the working class, and perhaps it's the vanguard and the advanced contingent right now of the working class of Bangalore, particularly. And also, it is the most numerous organized part of working class. So it is taking initiative. That does not mean that it is only working for itself, but it will start from addressing its own sector, workers' specific problems right now, as you said. For example, a PG or some of the issues may not be an issue of all people, but it will start from that and specific to that sector and expand it to all other areas and link up with all organized working class and unorganized sectors, and of course broaden it to a people's issue. And this it is doing as CPIM is doing it as a working class party. So that part I think we have to keep it in mind. So this whole sectors we have to go step by step, as Comrade Chitra told. These are one of the first level of demands we are making, and we may go into very specific demands so that we force our employers and respective local institutions or governments for the specific demands, and then making, and also simultaneously this convention, whatever it has done of raising awareness of cost of living crisis and how to fight back. So those things have to be worked out into specific steps, and really organize the entire Bangalore and ultimately entire Karnataka. This is only a beginning. I think we will take several steps to get there. And I also want to thank all of you who have come here and assembled in such a large number so that we can, as Comrade Vijay K said, in 80s, and I was part of that, public sector workers shook the whole Bangalore as well as Karnataka and did a political change. I think starting from this, we can take entire Bangalore people's cost of living crisis as a core and build up a movement which will shake the entire Karnataka. Thank you.
Comrades, I invite Comrade Karthik to give memento to Comrade Vastaraj. Now I invite Comrade Regil to deliver vote of thanks.
Comrades, on behalf of CPI Mighty Fund Local Committee, I would like to thank Comrade Ashok Dawle, the Politburo member of CPIM, and the President of All India Kisan Sabha, who inaugurated the convention. Next, I thank Comrade Meenakshi Sundaram, CPIM State Secretariat member and General Secretary of CITU Karnataka. Next, I thank Next, I would like to thank Comrade VJK, our former CPM Kannada State Secretary. Next, I thank Comrade Vasandaraj, State Committee member of CPIM, Comrade Manjunath, Bangalore South District Secretary of CPIM. And next, I thank Comrade Gopalakrishna, State Secretary member of CPIM. Finally, I would like to thank each and everyone who participated here. And thank you, comrades. Revolutionary greetings. Inqilab Zindabad.